Hello, and welcome to Blades and Banners, a Tales of the Valiant actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world. It's Friday, and so we have a ship's log Q&A with Mia. Hey, Mia.
Hi. Hi, Philip and everyone.
So, if you, as a viewer, have not watched the last couple of episodes, this will be extremely spoilery. So go back and do that. But we're just going to jump into it because the first question is pretty much what I would have asked first anyway. And this comes from Emily. What did it feel like to die? So your first character death experience. How was that?
Honestly, when I first read that, I thought it was asking Sohina what it felt like to die. And I was prepped for that answer. But it was shocking. And I definitely went through an arc with it. I initially was just extremely surprised because I did not know what rolling a nat 1 on a death save meant, and it seemed like everybody else did, and I was like, what? And then just things continuing to fail, and I was just in stunned / amused, and then it hit a state, I don't know, whatever. I was stunned / amused. And then that night I was okay, but the next day it started to feel more wait, everything she was going to be. You know what? I just lose that and I don't It feels so early. I don't know if it's early, but I was thinking, I've barely gotten the chance to know her. And I was also thinking, when I've watched D&D campaigns, I've thought, well, death should be death. Otherwise, it doesn't have a consequence. What is the point if you're just going to come back? But then I'm in that position and going, ooh, can I have that? Can I feel that like later in the campaign or maybe with my second character? And I wound up talking to Eric a little bit about it because Eric had a part in it. We had a really good conversation. I talked to Philip about it, and I was going back and forth about what might be the best. And I believe Philip may have preferred that. Story-wise, it might have been better if we allowed Sohina to pass fully. And I was really in my head for like a week thinking, I don't know if I can maintain. I don't know if I personally can just be blasé about this and just continue on with the campaign. So I just said, ultimately, yeah, can we see if there's a way we can bring her back? And we had a couple of thoughts. I don't know if you wanted to talk about them. And when we narrowed it down to 2 thoughts, I just said, you know what? I'm not leaning one way or the other. So go for it, Philip. And then wait, have we had a session since? Has that shown?
We have one episode. We have one episode left. The most recent episode is with Avelina.
Okay, and
rescuing the party.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I started to say, and then I went, Mia, did we actually show that episode yet?
Yes. So everyone has seen the Avelina. Yeah.
Right. So Ellie Wise went down, and then I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. Now I no longer feel bad. Like I no longer feel bad about Sohina, and I was so excited when Avelina came out. I was so like, what's going to happen? And I shared this with Philip. I was texting Shiv at the time while we were recording. I was like, oh my God, Ellie was just rolling that one. And oh my God, it's Avelina. And oh my God, this is the price that had to be paid. Yeah, so it was scary and uncomfortable and surprising and whoa and guilt-inducing and now just awesome. The end.
Well, I'm glad that's where it ended. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an odd one because I'd actually sat down with Colin and talked about, okay, what happened, because Finian was at 2 failed saves when we stopped the session. I sat down and talked with Colin about what do we do, and then instead Casey rolled a natural 1.
Yes.
And so I was very unprepared for that. But it was also a little peculiar because there's sort of this question in a moment like that of where does the spotlight go?
Right.
Is the spotlight on the fallen character? Is the spotlight on the lone person still up from the party?
Right.
And so it was really odd to kind of work out how to narratively have this be a cool moment, while figuring out if it's is the moment about the bargain, is the moment about Oren's guilt, is the moment about the Eliwise and Sohaina's experience of having just died. Like it's it was a lot of things to juggle in the moment, and so it'll be interesting to see how that develops, because the party hasn't really taken an opportunity to deal with it,
Right.
because there have been so many other things to deal with, given all that's happened in this second visit to Vale.
Oh my God. And Philip, like the way you handled when Eliwise went down, I was so like jaw-droppingly amazed at how perfectly you weaved it all together. And I was thinking, I would have thought that he had written this in advance because it's just all coming out so easily. It's brilliant. The connection with Sohaina and Eliwise now is going to drive the boys crazy, and that's going to be so much fun. Plus, we got more Evelina, and I don't know. I feel like you handled it masterfully because it didn't feel like there was a stutter, at least on
Well,
the
I appreciate that.
outside. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I knew, like, once I had from you the sense of you wanting to proceed with Sohaina, I also knew I didn't want to do what we had done with Kyber shards and bring archfey and godlike entities into the scene again, because
Right.
we did that a whole lot. We did a whole lot of bargains with entities beyond our kin. And but Avelina is totally within the realm of, cast raise dead on somebody, and much different from the kinds of fey that we were mostly dealing with in Kyber shards and that kind of thing. And so that was and also that seemed, compared to the other thing we had talked about, was something necromantic in Vale.
Yeah.
And the part of the reason I went with the Avelina angle is it was going to be much easier to work out what to do if more than one person was dead. Whereas if we're going with the necromancy thing, it might have been a little trickier if Finian or Eliwise were also suddenly dead.
Okay.
Again, strong arguments for having let them make those rolls before I cut the previous session, but here we are, hoist upon my own petard. So yeah, it gave a little more room to adapt to whatever the needs of the situation ended up being. So yeah. Speaking of that bond, that's Emily's second question. If Sohaina wasn't bound to Eliwise, would she rather be bound to Oren or Finian?
Honestly, Finian is so confusing to Sohaina, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I think it's Finian's seriousness that He seems, I think maybe more inaccessible to her, and what is it that is more accessible about Oren? I'm not sure, but I feel like Sohina and Oren have had a couple of moments, um, of interaction that felt natural and fun. So I would say
Mhm.
I think with Oren,
Yeah.
I think that would have
Um,
been interesting. Yeah, sorry.
had neither of the other two died, that's what I was going to do with this was probably would have been tying her to Orin.
Valiant.
Uh yeah.
Oh, right, of
Um
course.
yeah, and so yes, but when one of the others died, I had kind of already had in my mind if one of the others rolls badly enough, I'll pivot and do it that way.
Yay.
Um
And now
so
Sohina gets a purple eye, which is amazing. Okay, sorry.
it's true. So, and then Emily's third question is very important because of Sohina's, feelings about Svoboda.
Yeah, yeah.
How does Sohina feel about Svoboda's attempting to save her that ended in her admittedly temporary death?
That is a phenomenal question because I don't think I really Mia understood that that was I don't think until Eric talked about it, I don't think I really understood that that was Svoboda not being able to back down, not
Mm-hmm.
being able to bend a knee, and give in to this threat. Um, and I don't think I feel like Sohina wasn't conscious. When she
Mm-hmm.
went down and the sword stabbed her, I feel like she wasn't even aware
Right.
that what had happened. She was already knocked out. So even knowing that she died, I think the way I realized I wanted to play it was that she wasn't entirely sure what happened herself.
Yeah.
Um I so when we start to talk about it more and she finds out that Svoboda had a hand in this, that is going to be juicy. But right now I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I want to
Cool.
know what Svoboda's reasons were. I
Right.
think it'll be real dependent on that conversation. So it's gonna be juicy as hell. Ooh, sorry.
That's
Okay,
fine.
sorry.
We've almost certainly said that word. It's a fantasy
Okay.
campaign.
Ah,
Um, So, then we have a few questions from Josh.
yay.
Uh, Mia, what would Sohina have expected the crew to do in response to her dying? So, if
Um,
Sohina had stayed dead, what would she have wanted the crew to do?
wanted or expected? Because those are two different
Mm,
questions, I
that's true.
think.
Expected. Expected.
Um, buried her and moved on. And buried her. Let's see. I don't know that I've figured out how Knowles handle their dead, but the way Sohina is handling the passing, I'm thinking there's got to be some Knoll culture in the wanting to respect a buried
Mm-hmm.
someone who has got fallen. So yeah, I would have expect them to have just buried her and moved on. And so the idea that someone has made efforts and had an emotional response to her
Mm-hmm.
death is going to be something she's going to have to work on because she's not expecting that.
Do you want to know what the traditional D&D answer is to what
Yes,
gnolls do with
please.
their dead?
Yes,
Do you want to
please.
guess what the traditional D&D answer is to what gnolls do with their dead?
Do they eat them?
They eat them. Yep.
I must write that down to remember. Thank you.
I mean, that doesn't have to be what Sohina's tribe did with their
Right.
dead, but that is the standard D&D answer to what gnolls.
Oh.
There's a lot of it's. I'm sure it comes from the older editions of D&D before a lot of the monstrous races became playable.
Right.
But yeah, gnolls, lizard folk, same thing. A lot of just sort of tending towards a little more animalistic
Right.
um, uh, answer to that question. But yeah,
Oh. Now would that have been their own dead or foes as well?
both. Mm-hmm.
Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
both. It's still even in fifth edition with lizard folk. when they first introduced those as a playable species in 5th edition back in Volo's Guide to Monsters, I think was the book that lizard folk were playable in. It had an extensive look at lizard folk culture, and it talked about that as being still the standard for in 5th edition was lizard folk will often eat their foes because it's meat.
Yes. And that plays so well. Have you ever watched the Orville? The
Yes. Hmm.
sci-fi. Okay. I don't know if you know Commander Bortus. He's basically the Orville universe's version of a Klingon.
Hmm.
Um, he has got this iron intestinal tract. And I recognize that I am creating that for Sohina as well. That
Yeah.
is the way I'm moving through. And so the fact that she basically eats carrion,
Hmm.
it just perfectly weaves into, like, if gnolls eat their dead, I think that works very well with the idea of a superhuman intestinal tract that can handle anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost certainly.
love it.
Yeah. Next question from Josh. This is a question that he asks both of Sohina and then of Mia. If Sohina's and Eloise's bond had instead manifested visibly as swapping something other than eyes, what would Sohina have chosen to be swapped? And then separate question was, what would Mia have chosen to be swapped if those are different?
Oh, I like this. I didn't see these. Okay. How different there are two things.
Mm-hmm.
Eloise does not have a tail, correct?
Correct. Eloise has no tail.
All right. And what is the difference in their two sets of ears? Gnome ears and
Well, position on skull would be
right,
one. Eloise's ears are in a humanoid position, and
right.
Sohina's are up top. Eloise's ears are are a little pointed, but not nearly as large as Sohina's.
Okay. 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 All right. So now I have two answers. What would be more fun to role play? Okay. So I think it would have been interesting if their ears switched, because so
Yeah.
much of Sohina's she senses the world through her ears. She reads ears. Visually, the idea of Ellie Wise having giant knoll ears on her tiny little head is brilliant. Which, by the way, I absolutely was imagining that the eyes did not change size. So I was initially imagining, like, how was I going to
Oh.
keep Ellie Wise's eye in my socket? Yeah. But then everybody started freaking out about it, and I was like, okay, Mia, maybe that's a little too far. So I think it would have been interesting to have them switch ears, but I don't know how it would work, but I think it would have been I don't know if there would have been a swap, but like if Sohina lost her tail and Ellie Wise gained
got her tail.
Right. And then Sohina is now she's off balance in some way.
Yeah.
She winds up waggling her butt. Like, I think there could have been a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, a lot of fun implications there.
Yeah.
Ellie Wise now has hard time sitting down.
Yes. Oh my God.
This
all
funny.
worked out so well.
And then, do you have any initial thoughts about the potential implications of the bond that Ellie Wise and Sohina, I'm sorry, the bond with Ellie Wise that Sohina is concerned about?
Not until I hadn't thought about that prior to just having this question posed to me. And the very first thing that immediately comes to mind is I think Ellie Wise is more bloodthirsty than Sohina is, or more okay with being bloodthirsty. Or no, Ellie Wise was just matter of fact.
There's a coldness.
There's
a coldness under the surface in Ellie Wise.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yes, agreed.
Mhm.
I think Casey does such a great job of inhabiting colder characters in the most absolutely adorable way. Like, the way she walks that line is
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, so Heine, so being, feeling the experience of wanting to stick the sword into, no, what did she do? Did she burning
she just
hands?
yeah, she burning hands. Yeah, she
Yeah,
just burned them to death.
yeah. So Heine being in that feeling, I think would be uncomfortable, and actually it might be quite exciting, and I need to make another note.
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see how
Yeah,
you and Casey play with this. Um and how the mechanics play out.
yeah.
And that's all that will be interesting because of course there's no fine print
Right.
to the deal. It's just entirely out there
Oh, sure.
and purely to your benefit.
Oh, quite, of course. Also, like, I'm still holding on to, and I hope this is okay, we can talk about it offline, but Mia really likes Avelina and the potential
Hmm.
problems because I didn't grow up having this, "Oh my god, no, not a hag," feeling that everybody else in the party does. But I like the idea of Sohaina is still like, she doesn't see anything wrong with Avelina, and she did us a favor, and, like, I don't know, like, she had expressed, I don't know, are we happy or sad about the fact that she helped us? And I am enjoying not being as afraid of Avelina as Sohaina should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I I really enjoy um that aspect, and there's a uh I'm trying to remember the name of it. There was a publication a few years back. Yeah, it was called Uncaged. And it was a series of RPG supplements where they took, where this, where the authors took uh, m- mythological monsters that are used in D&D, like hags, that are almost exclusively, well, that are usually exclusively female. And so hags, medusas, things like that. And um, re-examined them as a well, I guess in a feminist light,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, as saying, well, here's these creatures from Greek myth that are and from Celtic myth in the case of hags and Germanic myth that are evil women in some
Right.
way.
Right.
But how can we look at portraying them in a more modern sense?
Yeah.
And those are really interesting. There was a whole thing on hags being one of them. It's such a weird thing because obviously hag is an incredibly rude thing to call
Right.
anyone
Right.
um, in, a,
Right.
in a standard way of existing.
Yes.
And so being a dude, there's a certain level of awkwardness
Oh my god.
that comes with it for me. But I there's the temptation to make a hag who's actually really nice.
Yep.
And that's fun. There's definitely a lot of fun in that. Um, but I think what I like about Avelina in particular, which is also kind of the thing I like about Fey creatures in general, is it is um every creature that lives on a different plane of existence would have to have an entirely alien worldview to you and me.
Right. Right.
But the thing with Fae is they are at the very least somewhat shaped like us. And so it's an alien worldview in a somewhat familiar creature. It's different from like an elemental. It's different from like
Right.
interacting with an elemental. You know, Sam wants to burn things
Right.
and eat them. And that's kind of the whole of Sam's worldview
Yep,
is eat things that I burn, that's what I'm
yep.
for.
And Lucy just
Um,
wants to fly,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And and that's fun and amusing, but there's only so far you can go with that conversation.
Yep, yep.
But Fae are shaped like us. They're bounded in the same kind of bodies as us, and so it looks more familiar. And so when that just completely alien worldview comes out, I think it's a lot more fun
Yeah.
because it's very easy to. Well, it came up in the last episode. All of you immediately liked Avelina a little more because she has a dog.
I know, oh my god! Immediately, all four of us wrote on our notes, must add blink dog next time we level up.
Well, and I mean, I think
But yeah.
what cracked me up the most is there were so many things about Avelina, about this interaction with Avelina, that made many of the player characters and maybe players uncomfortable. And what nobody seemed to have any real issue with what was going to happen to those dead people that
Oh!
that Vivian packed up in a mobile barrow.
I think nobody verbally, because
Right.
I truly imagine Sohaina genuinely just standing with her arms out, just looking around, like motionless, trying to understand for an extended period of time what is happening. But yes.
But I like, no, I enjoy you and Sohaina having a much more matter-of-fact reaction to Avelina, and not necessarily seeing the danger in the same
Right.
way
Right.
that the characters who grew up hearing stories about it
Right. Okay, good. I'm
would
glad.
have.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, and hags are like wildly dangerous
Yeah.
in a mechanical, from a purely mechanical standpoint. But I don't know. I will be interested to see where things go now that Avelina is firmly attached to the party in some ways. It will be interesting.
And I feel like I can say very easily that she is a fan favorite. So
She's a lot as usual.
Right.
Characters that I invent completely out of nothing in response to a player need are much more appreciated than characters that I spend a bunch of time giving life to.
Well, isn't that crazy though? That feels like it says so much about your creativity and brilliance.
Well, I'll take that, but it is also a pretty common phenomenon for GMs
Really?
of I spend all this time on this thing, but the players are really, really interested in the guy selling melons out of that cart over there.
That's amazing.
It's just there's just a phenomenon that there is no anticipating what character the players will just latch onto in a really deep way.
Oh my God.
But yes, so
That's so exciting and terrifying. Oh my God.
but yes, but no, so that's what, the obvious response to that is, well, once they latch onto the character, then you just need to flesh out that character and have and know what her story is. So
Right.
that'll be fun. So this time around, I know a lot more about Avelina. So
we love her.
So Josh's last question.
Yeah.
Is what question would Sohaina have been afraid of receiving when it's her turn in the hot seat that she isn't afraid after the adventures that the crew have shared so far?
Okay, so I asked Philip to save this one for last because I love it. It's juicy and I wanted some time for my brain to think up a couple of things. I think two things. One, I think she would have been I'm imagining, in the past, she has killed folks. Um, and she might have wanted to keep that more close to her chest
Mhm.
because in her mind, she knows, gnolls are bloodthirsty. She is very aware of that. It's not part of who she is, which is why she didn't fit in. She smallens herself to help, she wants to fit in, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I didn't need to say all of that. But, um, seeing the way the players got bloodthirsty, I think she would be less afraid to share with them some experiences of murder that she has committed in the past
Mhm.
that she would have been afraid to share before. I think I used a lot of words to just say, um, she murdered folks, and now she knows that this crew, their eyes will roll over white also, and so now
Right.
she can tell them that without concern of being shunned, I think.
Yeah.
And then there
Cool.
was another one,
Mhm.
and I think it would be more vulnerable than that. This was the first thing I thought. Um, the fact that they actually cared enough to be upset on her behalf, I think would make her a little bit more comfortable in sharing with them what an outsider she has been and how she really strives to belong.
Yeah.
And they've
Cool.
suddenly like created a door for that where she could go, "Oh my goodness, they like maybe these people seem like they may actually care about me." Da da
Mhm.
da 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 da. I
Oh.
know that song. What a dee 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 dee. So
My
either your
dishwasher has
laundry,
finished.
yep, for the dishwasher. OLG. Sorry. That's so bad.
That's okay.
Okay. So there we go. The end. Those are my thoughts.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. Yes. Excellent. Well, great. That is all of our questions. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for submitting those questions. We always enjoy getting to dive into those, and hopefully it's interesting to you as viewers.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mia, for being here and answering questions about Sahina.
Thank you for
And
facilitating it.
Of course. And we'll be back on Monday with another episode of Blades and Banners.
Mhm.
In the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with us or submit questions for future episodes of the Ship's Log, you can do so on our Discord, which is the link to which is in the description down below. And until next time, thanks for rolling with us.
Bye.